Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Taking a break from FNAF games, today I'm going to be talking about 3 terrifying horror games, each of which originates from itch.io and will be linked in the description down below. Admittedly, the first 2 games are less in your face horror and more of an interesting concept that switches up the classical horror tropes in interesting ways, whilst the third one is a textbook example of how to build up tension and make you shit your pants. But without further ado guys, let's get talking about the first game. Up first we have Rinse and Repeat, made by Hadrian Dev. It is the shortest of the games I'm going to be talking about, being around 10 minutes of gameplay max I would say, but quality over quantity, am I right? At least the game doesn't waste your time. But starting with what makes the game good, it's how it manages to convey such a refreshing idea in a very short space of time and small map. Like there is one room excluding the corridor and that's it. Somehow that makes the game scarier, but I'm not quite sure as to how or why. What I do know is that the claustrophobic nature of the map does make it more tense, with no windows or closing doors to aid your sense of safety. The game plays off an old fear commonly expressed in many forms of media, being at risk while you're showering. This fear builds on the idea that when you shower you're both physically and metaphorically naked to danger. In the game, late at night you decide to shower, so you enter the bathroom, undress and hop in a tub. At first, not much happens as you simply wait to wash yourself fully, but then as you start washing your hair, your vision is completely gone. So as a result, the player assumes that you must wash your hair in intervals to avoid an oncoming threat from the door. And this is exactly what the game takes advantage of. As the death screen suggests, the reason you died is by manifesting an entity resulting from your paranoia. So, whilst you may occasionally see a hand at the door or hear suspicious sounds, just keep washing your hair until you're done. There are 2 main endings to this game and 3 secret ones. For the main one is simply to die and win. As for the secret ones, you must leave naked and keep flushing the toilet until your house floods. Moving on, we have Slide in the Woods, made by Johnny's Games. This game teaches you to never ride a slide in the middle of the woods. This game kind of plays off the fear of getting lost, as I can only assume you play as a small kid lost in a park, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, you find a slide in a desolate part of the woods, and of course you ride it, cause what's the worst that can happen, right? Well, nothing at first, but you didn't just come all this way to go once, so you go again, this time resurfacing in a sudden mist with a changed ambience. But nothing too bad, so you keep sliding. But this time it is pitch dark and you can hear something moving around you. Thankfully you find a flashlight, and as you keep riding you find fragments of a newspaper story about missing people cases at the park you're in. One thing I found quite effective is how each time you slid down you had absolutely no idea what to expect. I was 100% expecting to be jump scared while sliding down, so I was always on edge. Next, you hear sounds in the slide. Then a body bag is dragged to the depths, and as you follow it, you find out that this mere slide can transport you to a whole nother dimension deep underground. You must traverse through some dark tunnels using a crawl meter. You end up reaching a sewer kind of underground lair where you must travel up some stairs whilst avoiding being hit by a tumbling body bag. At the top, you find what seems to be a gruesome beating heart which you must sever the chains of to lower it down to feed them. The same door which you entered from opens to reveal the mysterious creature that's been stalking you all this time. As it chases you, you have to slide down a dark tunnel once more, this time really focusing on maintaining stamina for crawling as this thing is coming straight for your booty cheeks. This is when the real claustrophobia kicks in, oh yeah. Now this part is real intense as you can hear it rumbling in the tunnels just behind you. You finally find the initial red slide and ride it for old time's sake. Resurfacing, you find that the slide along with the whole playing apparatus is gone, signifying the end of this nightmare for you and others who have fallen victim to the Slide in the Woods. Now finally for the game that doesn't hold back its horror, The House in the Woods by Mini Goliath. As a little demonstration, I'm going to play a clip of probably the calmest part of the game. This is all unedited by the way. Yeah, the sound design is very powerful in this game to say the least. making you question every step if you're being followed. I mean, the footsteps are made to sound like they're coming from behind you. I hate it when a game does that, man. It takes an obvious Blair Witch-esque aesthetic and it implements it well in a sort of refreshing way. According to the developer, this game is still very rough around the edges, but personally, I found it to be quite complete. Now, this game was made impressively quickly in 2 weekends and a handful of weeknights. It was developed for the Game Jam weekend, which I'm guessing is a game making competition. Basically, in 1999, you and your friend went missing whilst on a camping expedition. Despite ground and aerial search attempts, no trace of you was ever found. Today is October the 22nd, and you are dropped into the game. You start at what seems to be a campsite, but you are led astray into the dark woods searching for your missing friend. Not long after, you start to see enigmatic figures in the distance. As they disappear into the darkness, you wonder if they are real or just a figment of your distorted imagination, as the forest invites the most cruelest of evils. In yonder woods, where shadows dance with glee and whispers soft doth haunt the ancient trees, there lies a realm of eerie mystery, where dread and darkness dwell with chilling ease. Maybe I should write scripts more often, but I do tend to get carried away a bit. Well, anyway, because of the map's decently large size, it's not impossible to find yourself lost. But as a hint, follow the screams of your friend as they are directional, although the ambience can make it hard to hear. While stumbling around like a blind bat, I managed to find myself at an unsettling graveyard, which almost seems to be used for ritual purposes, but more on that later. Around here, I could hear almost a beast-like growl. After some more time of running around, the cries of help seemed to come closer, so I kept following them until I found the house in the woods. Its large size stuck out like a sore thumb amongst the trees. It seemed to be abandoned, with boarded up windows all around the property. The screams stopped, and you had no choice but to head inside. Yeah, I'm switching to the third person. What are you gonna do about it? As you enter, a figure darts past in a distant corridor, and you can once again hear the shouting. Suddenly, that atmosphere changes, although it's still the same house. You see a glimpse of cultish symbols engraved in stones. The upstairs becomes unlocked, and you encounter a cult member like the ones in the woods before. Things start to crawl around the house, and you start to feel surrounded. The sound design really picks up at this point. After what seems like an endless loop, you make your way to the basement where your friend is being held captive. You find them, but are quickly subdued. Finally, you are tied down by the cult leader and a demonic portal is summoned in front of you. It's best that you are not shown what happens next. And that was it, guys, all 3 games summed up. As I mentioned previously, the initial 2 games offer a subtle form of horror, presenting twists on traditional spooky expectations rather than employing overtly shocking elements like the third one expresses. Honestly, I can't wait to see what these developers have to offer in the future, and if these cool ideas get built on my other games. But anyway guys, I hope you did enjoy this cheeky little scripted video. I felt that it wouldn't do these games justice if I just used simple improvising. Next, I reckon I'll be covering the likes of Final Nights 3 or the Joy of Creation story mode, as they have always been points of interest to me when playing FNAF fan games. I really do hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.